Black Ops 6 is a bit of a mixed bag for me. I play on keyboard and mouse, so of course there are some things that they did that actually make the game feel good, and a few other things they did that make it feel like Modern Warfare 2. Allow me to explain. But before we do that, let's go ahead and run a few highlights so you can see more or less where my skill level is. The first thing I wanted to talk about with Black Ops 6 is the visual recoil. It's not as bad as Modern Warfare 2, but it's also not as clean as Modern Warfare 3 and the weapons in Modern Warfare 3. With the AK, for instance, there's a lot of muzzle smoke. The way that the weapons move back and forth in the visual recoil, it really throws me off. I don't really know how else to explain it. The other thing, the screen gets very busy, especially during a good gunfight, which makes clarity very difficult for me to tell what's going on. And unfortunately, you cannot turn particles off, so I'm kind of just left there in a ball of smoke from muzzle smoke and all of the effects from getting shot at, and the aim flinch that basically I'm just shooting in the blind. This alone, mind you, is reason enough for me to not buy the game. Yes, the game feels better. Yes, the game has great movement. But if I can't see what I'm shooting at, I'm not going to play the game. I already did that with Modern Warfare 2. I'm not doing it again. I don't know if Treyarch will ever decide to clean up those animations. I don't know if they'll decide to clean up all that clutter so it looks cleaner. It actually looks like a Call of Duty game. Actually looks closer to like what we had in Warzone 1. But I doubt that we'll see that. And because of this clutter that I'm getting, and because of that issue of not really being able to see where I'm shooting at half the time, unless I'm very up close, there's a whole lot to this game that I can't really talk about or really give my opinions on. I can't give my opinions on the map design because I can't get into long-range gunfights. I can't really talk about the types of kill because it's wildly inconsistent between any weapon that I use. So we'll just put visual recoil on the side for now, but I am going to bring it up throughout the rest of this video because it's just that big of an issue. The second thing I wanted to talk about is the broken character animations. And this is when, you're swapping weapons and you're seeing the gun swap from the left hand to the right hand to left hand, for whatever stupid reason. And as well as you see players hovering in midair because they're diving, they're going prone, and they're crouching and standing up all at the same time. So it kind of creates that hover effect where, the game can't really keep up with the movement that the game was trying to provide. This is, funny enough, the same issue that Cold War had, albeit without the Omni movement. In Cold War, everyone was just on skates. The running animation was not actually in line with the speed of the characters. It just looked like people were running around on skates, and it was very hard to track, especially a mouse and keyboard where there's no aim assist. And yeah, that's why I couldn't get into Cold War myself. It just felt like I'm shooting at a straight up character that's moving back and forth with no animation to tell which direction they're trying to go. Fortunately, Omni movement isn't crazy used during the beta. It is used a lot, but it's not used in the way that they're doing the dive to crouch to standing animation. But we're going to see more of that in the future over time. And every time you die to that, it's going to feel cheap because you're shooting at someone who's prone, but also 3 feet up in the air. I don't mind the Omni movement, but I really do mind the animations, the third-person animations where you're actually trying to shoot the person. It's not lining up with their actions. And also, very quick note, that paired with a visual recoil just makes this game pure hell whenever you are in a high-skilled lobby, and people are doing that all the time. You are going to get into some lobbies like that, maybe not during the beta, but I'm more than positive you'll get into that a month or two into launch. Next up on the list is perk balance. Perk balance is something that I'm never going to agree with because I have a certain kind of rock, paper, scissors idea as to how perks should be working, and that doesn't seem to be the case. For instance, I did unlock Ghost, and I am running around. I'm using a suppressed weapon, and I'm also using the perk that shows me whether or not I'm on radar, And that eye that shows whether or not I'm on radar is constantly on. It's constantly showing that I'm on UAV when I'm using Ghost. So I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know why I'm always on the radar. I don't know even if I'm using Ghost and the suppressor. And I'm moving around, I'm not just standing still. And I'm like moving around, like actually going through the map, not just moving in a circle, trying to abuse that movement. I'm moving across the map and I'm still getting that eye on the screen. So either the perk is bugged or it's so heavily nerfed that it's not even worth using. Along with that, we also have the footstep audio. For me, the footstep audio felt okay-ish. I know a lot of people were talking about like there's no footstep audio whatsoever. In this game, the footstep audio is very, very bassy. It's basically like Rainbow Six Siege kinds of bass. It's just also a lower volume than Rainbow Six Siege. So if you do have any EQ settings, you probably will want to boost up the bass, unless you already have a bass boosted setup. But you may want to boot up the bass responses in your EQs, or maybe try out some of the EQ settings in the game if there is one. I didn't even check. And try to do it that way. But for me, I could hear the bass of the boots, but for trying to figure out like the direction and where they're coming from is a different story. Because they are muted in regards to how loud they are, it also makes it difficult to tell just how far away they are and which direction they're going to. So that eliminates the reason for using Ninja. And yes, there's also a perk that helps with hearing, but I don't think that counters Ninja. And in my opinion, there should always be a perk that counters another perk in terms of gameplay. And in this sense, if there's a Ninja perk that makes your footsteps quieter or silent, then there should be a perk that allows you to hear those footsteps regardless. Maybe not at the regular volume, but just slightly less, so you at least know, hey, there's footsteps, someone's nearby. Let me get on alert, let me replay this position. Let me just not stand here and look at this one corner or guard this one entranceway. Let me look at the other one because I hear footsteps in that direction. And the time to kill and the way that the gunplay is and how fast it is, footsteps should not really matter that much because you will have that playability of being able to either slide into a room, dive into a room, or use the Omni movement, sprint into it and out, and be able to bait that player that's holding down a lane or a room without really having to like dedicate yourself to just a straight on push. So yeah, obviously if someone hears your footsteps, you are going to be at a disadvantage in that fight. But at the same time, because of that movement, you can also make them miss. It's not like Modern Warfare 2 where they can hear your movement and the only option you have to get into the room is either to run in or slide in. And you have to fully dedicate that push and hope you beat them with the TTK of whatever weapon you're using. So like I said, I'll never fully agree with the perk balance in any Modern Warfare or any Call of Duty game because I do feel that there should be some takeaways and something that makes a perk work slightly less against other perks, but that's just my preference. It doesn't ruin this game in particular. It can be something that makes it difficult to play game modes like Search and Destroy or other competitive modes where you're just trying to hold down a point and you can't really hear footsteps, and you're going to hear them even less now in Black Ops 6. Onwards to that, we have weapon balance, and unfortunately, there's not too much I can say about this because my TTK and the way that people are diving and dying in this game is so crazy and consistent during the beta that I just can't really give you my opinion on the weapon balance. I was using the AK. The AK should have like a 4-shot kill capability. I don't know if it does or not because, well, we're missing the stats. The stats that we got in Modern Warfare 3 that tells you exactly what's going on and how much damage you can expect between every part of the body, including the headshot multiplier, is completely missing here in Black Ops 6. Maybe it's missing for the beta, maybe it will show up in the launch. Why is it not in the beta? I have no clue. They had 4 years to work on this. Why is that part of the UI element just not there? So for me, with the AK, sometimes I would get kills within 4 shots. A lot of times I would get kills within 6 to 8 shots. And I'll have a clip here where I'm clearly hitting the guy at point blank 5 or 6 times. And I died 3 shots from an SMG. I think it was an SMG anyways. But regardless, You have weapons that are out damaging an AK, which should be one of the stronger weapons in the game. Even if it's one shot off, I still hit the guy 5 times. I should have won that gunfight. Something's missing, whether it's the netcode or just the bad servers, which we'll get to in a second here. It makes the gunfights very inconsistent. On the other hand, when you have SMGs, the gameplay feels okay. And even with the final SMG that they have in the game that I unlocked recently, that one felt fine. It felt like every shot was actually registering. Maybe it's a glitch with some of these weapons, maybe it's a glitch with the rifles, because the XM4 didn't feel any more lethal than the AK did. It felt like I was using 6 to 8 shots, if not more, compared to the AK. I don't think that's how you should balance those two weapons. I don't even know if they are balanced that way, because we don't have the stats in the game that tells us where those weapons stand in terms of their TTK. So I tried everything I could. I used whatever attachments I could with the AK, paired that with the visual recoil, paired that with the broken character animations, and now we have even more inconsistent gunplay and gameplay, where you're just getting smoked by weapons with 3 or 4 shots, while your weapon that has the same exact TTK is taking 2 or 3 or 4 shots more than the other guy. We'll move on to the next point, which is server stability issues. Packet burst, packet burst, packet burst. All over this game, packet burst. Something that the game has been having issues with since Modern Warfare 2 and the Warzone 2 integration, packet burst. Why is this still a thing? They had 2 years to figure it out in terms of Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, and they had 4 years to figure it out with Black Ops 6 and their development. So once again, what's going on? Why are we still getting this issue? Why do the servers feel like crap? Why does the netcode feel like it's behind? I don't know. But all this ties in with all the previous points that creates a very inconsistent gameplay loop that I just cannot get around. And it's because of these 5 issues in particular that I can't really support Black Ops 6 or possibly any other future Call of Duty games that come out. Unless they address the server stability issues and the netcode, I can't really give that much input in terms of what I feel about these games with their gameplay. I can talk about it loosely. I'm going to have another video up that is going to talk about the gameplay in more detail, in a little more detail. But again, there's a whole page that I'm missing because the visual recoil makes it so I can't really see what I'm shooting at. The broken character animations during omni movement and sliding and diving makes it feel like I'm going to miss, which is fine. But at the same time, I can't track the player because the animations are behind. I'm not fully on board with the perk balance, but I do think the perks in this game are going to be good enough. I don't think they're going to ruin the game. And I can't really talk a whole lot about the weapon balance because everything else. So along with all of that, the last point I have to say is that this game is just not worth $70 if you're playing for multiplayer. Of course, if you're playing on console, if you're playing on controller, and these issues don't bother you, then by all means, buy the game, play it, have fun, enjoy the full year of content. And as well, there are other things to enjoy with Black Ops 6, such as the campaign and zombies mode. So if you want to buy the game for those 2 reasons, then by all means. If there is any kind of co-op mode that are in these Call of Duty games that are going to be worked on and like actually fun to play throughout the year, then yeah, it's probably worth $70 to you if you really care about that. For me, I'm going to care more about the multiplayer, I'm going to care more about the PvP. I don't really care that much about zombies. I would like to play the campaign, but I'm not going to pay $70 for a B tier campaign that is going to be 4 hours long. And no, I'm sorry, there's just not $70 of content that's going to come in that campaign. Maybe Treyarch is going to surprise me, but I doubt it. Anyways, these are the issues in general in terms of like the gameplay of Black Ops 6. And I know I misspoke a little earlier where I said I'm going to have a more in-depth detail about gameplay. It's not really about gameplay, but overall the issues that Call of Duty has today that are just being completely ignored and have been ignored for the past few years. And it looks like they're going to ignore it again this year, whatever's left of 2024, and going into 2025 as well. We probably won't see a fix ever unless Microsoft steps in, Xbox steps in, and says, hey, stop using dollar store servers, stop using a netcode from 10 years ago, We're going to give you some tools. We're going to make the gameplay better or more consistent, so that way players can actually tell what's going on and actually enjoy the game for what it is. Those are my quick fire thoughts. I'm just doing this off script, so if this feels inconsistent or whatever, let me know. If you like this style, let me know. It's a little tough for me to pull off because I like to rant. If this was a good video, if you really liked it, leave a like. If you hated the video, if you hate what I had to say, if you completely disagree, and you had a really good experience with Black Ops 6, leave a dislike, let me know in the comments below. And of course, consider subscribing as we try to make 1,000 subscribers, as well as for more gaming news, highlights, and well, more videos overall. Until then, I'm Mr. Rain, and I'll see you in another game.